we started, as a lot of people do, with a data center that had been built over time by a variety of people, over the course of years. And the business changed over that time. The people certainly changed. What the equipment could do changed. Everything changed, really. So over a period of time, I think this is pretty common. We just amassed this massive legacy. So there's all kinds of old junk. No one quite knows what it is. No one's quite comfortable enough that they understand it enough to be able to turn it off and remove it. So you end up having to sort of account for all this stuff over a long period of time. And every time you have a problem, it turns into a bigger and bigger panic and disaster because you don't know exactly how everything's connected and what the implications are of changing any small part of it. So you basically lose comfort. You lose confidence and you lose the trust in your infrastructure, which means it's more expensive and more difficult to maintain. The natural thing to do after, to try and recover from that is to try and fix it. But fixing it in place is difficult for all the reasons I mentioned. So what we basically tried to do is build new in the same place and then move things from old to new in a sort of piecemeal fashion. So in the process of doing that, then we can actually take the time to understand, without a big panic going on, without any customer being down, what is the need for this component? How does this service work? What are its dependencies? And we can do it one at a time. So it has sort of the twin advantages. We get to understand what we have because we've just considered carefully every component of it one at a time. And we also managed to move to a situation that we can actually maintain, that we do have trust in, and that we do understand. I think we approached this from the point of view that we expected the first design to be wrong, and it was. In our case, it was wrong partly because we had use cases that we hadn't considered. We had bits of the infrastructure that needed to be reachable from production and development, for example, which we didn't anticipate to start with. We didn't have good requirements. So we had to sort of build around that. The other main consideration was that some of the things we wanted the equipment to do didn't work. We're taking what turns out to be a bleeding edge sort of combination of features on various switches and routers and things like that. We didn't think they would be, but it turns out they were. It turns out that IPv6 plus anything turns out to have not really been considered and tested very well, and that was the main stumbling point. So we had to sort of switch in mid-flow and change the approach. But at that time, we've got 18 data centers worldwide. We've got quite a lot of work involved in cabling and shipping and logistics and connecting everything together. So we really didn't want to do that again. So we had to reuse the physical infrastructure, but change the sort of logical topology that we built on top of it. And that worked out pretty well. We've ended up with something that, to my taste, is a little more complicated than it should be. But at the same time, we put a lot of effort into automating it. So even though we could make it simpler and easier to maintain by hand, we don't have to maintain it by hand, so it's not that big of a deal.